So if you go on YouTube and type in Helldivers 2 leveling farm, you'll see a bunch of videos basically saying the same thing. Load up the game on trivial, find the mission on the bug planets with one objective, run from point A to point B and get 200 experience. But yesterday, I was trying to get from level 18 to level 20 to unlock the railgun, but I needed nearly 4,000 experience, and none of my friends were online yet, so it would have taken me quite some time using that method. So I decided to do some testing of my own. I even tried running out of lives and not extracting to see if I could finish the mission even faster that way. But I found out it doesn't give you the quick mission bonus unless you extract. However, I did end up figuring out the no bullshit best solo leveling farm, whether you're just starting out the game and need to grind out some better stratagems, or you're like me and needed to get to level 20. Now, quick disclaimer, the actual best way to level in this game is find a good squad who you can do harder difficulties with. Not only is the game made for co-op, so it's the most fun to play with friends, but also doing a search and destroy mission, which is only a 10-minute mission, netted me and my friends over 1,000 experience once they finally got online. But this video is going to be catered towards the solo players. So before we share the fast leveling guide, please drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you think this strategy is clever. We did the same clever strategies in Borderlands, and I'm going to start uploading Helldivers content, including some builds for the higher difficulties. So we are doing the same sort of idea as the other videos, however with a few tweaks that can net you over 300 experience instead of 200, and possibly closer to 350 if the perfect scenario happens, which is at least a 50% increase in speed from those other guides on YouTube. So let's go ahead and talk about my method, then I'll tell you the best weapons and stratagems to use for this method as well. So the first difference in our method is you actually want to go to the robot maps and put the difficulty on medium. This game has 9 difficulties and they're sorted in pairs of 3. Meaning that medium is still one of the easiest difficulties in the game, and this tip alone nets you an extra 50 XP when I was running it solo. Now, like I said, you actually want to go over to the robot planets because I noticed that the bug planets don't have the same quick missions on medium difficulty. Now, you are looking for the 2 missions with 1 objective. The quickest one is upload data from the drop pod, but the other one is called terminate illegal broadcast. It works nearly as well, but it may take a minute longer than the drop pod mission. I think the drop pod mission is the fastest one, but illegal broadcast works as well if that's the only one you can find. And then we start the same method as the other videos. Spawn in directly on the mission, like literally spawn directly on it, do the mission, and then run to point B. And by the way, don't go out of your way at least to get any samples or medals, grab them if they're right on the direct path. But sample farms and metal farms are much easier and much better on harder difficulties. If you try to farm samples on lower difficulties, it's going to take you so much longer. It's really not worth it down here. And you basically just don't want to worry about those right now. Now, before we extract, here is where my experience method differs from the other guides on YouTube. And this is a top secret stratagem that no other leveling guide will tell you to use. Right before you get to the extraction point when you're running, throw down the SOS beacon and spawn in some teammates. Because remember, not only do you get 20 bonus XP for each teammate that is extracted, but you also get a squad bonus at the end. So you're going to get more XP than you realize for doing this game with teammates. Now, one thing you gotta look out for is whether your settings are on public or friends only. So what I do is I spawn into the mission on friends only, and I switch it to public around, after the time I get the first mission done. Now, I try to spawn the teammates in right before I do the extraction shuttle, because that gives them about 2 minutes to spawn in. But if it's the middle of the night, like when I'm recording this right now, sometimes they don't spawn in as much. So if it's the middle of the night and not a lot of people are online, maybe you want to throw the SOS beacon a little bit earlier. But as soon as those 2 teammates get in the game, just hit your push to talk button and say, hey, I am EXP farming, get to the shuttle. Just make, everybody's pretty friendly in this game that I've ran into. Just make sure you're all on the same page. And I got this clip of me spawning in 2 other players, so we had 3 players extracted, and this netted me over 300 experience instead of the 200 you're seeing on other YouTube videos. That is a 50% increase in speed. If you get a 4th teammate to spawn, you will get a bonus 20 experience, but you might also get a bonus squad finish at the end. So you might get closer to 350 experience if you get all 3 teammates to spawn in. Now let's quickly talk about the loadout I use and the stratagems, because the robot planets are way more difficult than the bug planets and you actually want a different loadout. So pretty much for the bugs, I like to run the shotguns just because the bugs swarm you and the shotguns, you know, pretty much take them out quickly. However, for the robots, you're going to want to run either your basic assault rifle, but even better, if you were able to unlock the diligence, this weapon is amazing on the robot planet because it basically one-shots all of the cyborg, walking, like basic enemies. Now, these are the stratagems I use for these robot missions. Now, if you can get the grenade launcher down here, which is at a pretty early level, you want to get this as soon as possible because this grenade launcher, if you shoot it at the ground near the heavy enemies, I think it takes maybe 1 or 2 shots to take out those heavy enemies. But if you don't have the grenade launcher unlocked yet, then either run the stalwart or the machine gun. However, the grenade launcher is also at a pretty early level. I can't tell right now. I think it's at either 6 or 8. I would recommend not wasting money on some of those other stuff early on. This grenade launcher I am literally still using at suicide level difficulties and Helldiver difficulties. This is one of the best launchers in the game, and you can get this really early on. So I definitely recommend this one for the early levels. And when it comes to the strikes you want to use, so I use 1 support weapon and 3 strikes. What I'm going to tell you is try not to use the cluster bomb and don't use either of these barrages, because these barrages and the cluster bomb have a really wide radius and you can end up killing yourself or your teammates very easily, and you don't want to delay these EXP farms at all. So what I recommend using is the Eagle Airstrike, because this actually shoots bullets, it seems like, or maybe the strafing run. I use the airstrike, but you could probably also use the strafing run. So I recommend picking up these 2 eagles, or the napalm strike is pretty good because this doesn't have a large explosion radius either. And then I recommend using 1 orbital. The Gatlin barrage should be good for early on, or the airburst strike. But this airburst strike kind of has a wide radius. I don't know, maybe try out the Gatlin barrage. But definitely pick up 2 eagles, these first 2 eagles, or the napalm once you unlock it, and then pick up 1 orbital. And what you want to do is throw 1 eagle, throw your orbital while the eagle's cooling down, and then throw your second eagle, and then kind of swap between those. And basically, since I'm not really fighting any enemies until the extraction zone, I just save these for the end to make it extra easy, especially on medium difficulty. And that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, if you thought this was clever, please drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel. I will be uploading my higher difficulty build pretty soon. I finally got to level 20 and got to test out all the stratagems that I wanted to. And I have some pretty good squad mates who I play with, and we are pretty efficient at clearing out these maps together. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.